let's talk about the one where they took you to a warehouse. You're in Hong Kong, and they took you to a warehouse, and it's an interesting. Can you talk about that?
Yes. All I know, can we talk about this is all I can say about it is this guy kept up saying to, and he said that the reason why I got there in beautiful limousine. I wasn't there to actually fight. I was actually promote a film and so forth. And he offered me a lot of money. I said, for what? They said, this guy here, no problem, you know. And I said, well, if there's no problem, why are you willing to pay me that kind of money? And they said, and then I thought to myself, okay, I'll do the next dish in my honor. Yeah, I'll do the next person. I'll make some good money on the next person. That's what I thought I was going for. I wasn't there. I was there to promote a movie, not the fight. And then they take me to the beautiful hotel. This hotel was beautiful. And then they come in a limousine and they take me. I'm in the Cologne side. They take me to this limousine. And I said, oh, there's my man, go this style, like. And we'll go in there, son. On the Cologne side, we go on in the tunnel, going, to the episode. Yeah. And that's, the Hong song. Yeah. And I'm saying, so I'm trying to make conversation. So where we going? What is this, arena or a dojo or what? And they go, yeah. I said, no. I want to know where we're going and this and that. And he says, okay, no problem. I said, do you speak English? You know? He says, okay. I said, see, you know what? I'm trying to have a conversation with this guy, man. You kept brushing me off. So we're driving. Now, I look out the window and the windows were tinted. So I rolled out the window and he built. And I looked at him and I grabbed his hand. And I looked at him. I said, I want air. And so he said something to the guy, air conditioning, keep on this and that. I wanted to see. Yeah, how hell are you? Yeah. And we're going, I've never seen, we're going up some hills that I've never seen. Something like, okay, enjoy the ride. I rolled back up to the door and I'm staring at this carrier. I said, what are we doing? He says, okay. And I'm looking at him like, what the hell is okay? What does that mean? Do you understand English? So finally, I see stop. We get out. I'm looking, where's cars? I don't see any cars. I see a building with a light that is big. You know that movie actor? The big Chinese guy with the, I mean, 007. Oh, yes. They did, yeah. That's what I'm seeing, that is front door. And I'm saying, well, where's all the cars? I don't see any cars. He goes, okay. I said, sure, okay. I'm sailing wording hubs in a town. We'll get up and down you right now. So we get there, opens the door, and I'm seeing people. And when I walk in, I see this cage, I see this, and it's like in a big circle. And I see all these people like are bleachers all the way around this and that. And I see like a door, 5 foot, 6 foot, a 5.5 foot door like this. And I'm saying, am I going to fight first? I'm going to fight second. He goes, yeah. I said, am I going to fight first or am I going to fight second? What am I going to do? Because, okay. And then he takes me in this room. I'm in the room. I said, uh, Yeah. All right. And then, so I went to open the door and the guy, it's locked. So I, I slammed the door, opens up. I said, why'd you lock the door? Well, he goes, I said, I, I need tape. And I'm showing him tapes. He goes, he closed the door and he locks it. So I'm saying, all right, suckers. So I'm thinking, we're going to have a fight right here. Yeah. So next thing I know, I'm standing and I'm waiting for whoever even come to that door because I'm thinking it's going to start right now. So I'm like this. They open the door and I'm like this. And he go, he just need tape, gauze, and mouthpiece. I didn't have anything there. I had my geek bottoms. Yeah. I had, I always take my geek bottom wherever I go in case I do a demonstration or whatever. I have geek bottoms. And I had geek bottoms and that's it. And so he gave me tape and says, okay, close this door. So I asked him, and he opened the door. I said, doctor coming in here? Doctor to check me, my hands, check. Yeah, and he goes, okay, close the door. And I said, you know what? How would you? I put tape, man, and I put gauze, and I put tape. This sucker, man, was like a hammer. Yeah. I figured if there's nothing that can one act like that, five. I put tape to this point, and it was locked. And then I put gauze, then I put tape on it. So they can only see there's only tape, no top. Yeah. Up both of them. I said, man, if I hit somebody, his ancestors are gonna feel it. Yeah, if I hit somebody with these. And so then I put some people on the ankle. So I'm here yelling and screaming and this and that. And so I said, well, I started stretching. I started moving and blocking that noise. I'm just giving it to my own self. They come, they say, okay, okay, okay. I said, you know what? Let me get over it. They already gave me my money. I don't care about the rest. And I get there, I come out, and this guy's on the other side. Okay? It is not round, it's square. And he's on the other side. So I come in, I goes. So, and the guy is blowing a towel on him like this, and he blew the wind on him from the towel, and his back is turned to me. So I think, okay, I'm a showboat. I start doing Muhammad Ali movements, sipping that, doing this, I'm going to put on a show. Yeah. My thoughts. Okay. And so uh, I said, I said, water, water. And he says, no water. So, and I look, the water, if he can't touch me on my shoulder, I turn, he hands me a beer. Oh, I looked at him, I said, it's okay. So I said, you know when he just gets his own with the bell goes, not a ding. This guy turns around and says, to the death. I thought I heard it, but I just went, oh, maybe that's just something he says at show. So I go out there and I'm moving around, busy moving, and I think this guy's coming at me. And I'm just moving around. He tries to elbow me, I'm slipping, moving. I'm giving a show. I think I'm doing an exhibition. Yeah. In my mind. And this guy's, boom, trying to elbow me, trying to hit me, and then he's trying to hit my kneecaps. So he's trying to go right side kick my kneecaps. And one time he kicked the front, I have to move. He hit it as I moved. And then said I hit him. Boom, boom, boom. And then you go, ah. And he just turns around and walks away. And I'm like this, like I'm freaking in him like that. I said, so I said, oh shit. I said, you know what? I was here. I go back to where I was. And I'm thinking, and they got one guy on the inside, the other guy on the outside, going there, rubbing his neck, rubbing his temple. And I'm saying, yeah, man, I want that. Yeah. But then next thing I know, I'm just standing there and I turned because I'm feeling something on my back. I turned, look, and he's going all drunk. Yeah, it's my best. So I moved away, I moved away from that. I moved forward a little bit so he can't touch him. So I said, you know what? Get that out of your head. I skipped on, so get that out of your head. Just pay attention to what's it funny. I went, this guy turned around to the left. Says it again? Oh, yeah. And I looked at him, like my heart started pumping a little bit because I heard it. Yeah, I thought it. So I moved around. I shoot him right across his face. I broke the orb, and it went poof. He couldn't see. It was this spike was like this, and he couldn't see out of one eye because this one's already closed, and this one here, and so I'm calling the ref. Look, he can't see. Stop the match. Look it. He can't see. He can't. And he says, okay, okay, okay. And this guy came at me again, and I just thrust kicked out. Oh, and then I came at him, boom, boom, and he clinches me. I put my head underneath his armpit, and I head up for the side, and I was hitting his ribs. And I heard it, boom, boom, and you, and I threw him down. And I over him, I'm saying, stay there, or I'm going to put you in the hospital. And I'm talking to him like if he understood me. Yeah, yeah. And I'm yelling and screaming at him, you better stay there, and this and that. Or, And so I go to saddle, and I'm moving around. I'm moving around like I'm waiting for them to put my hand up. Yeah. So I'm going around just waiting. And the referee is ignoring me and going, and the guy jumps over and gets the guy. They take him, and they take him there, and they're spraying and doing whatever they're doing. They actually close it. They close it, and they're putting Vaseline to close it. So it was like squirting out like gun, like a squirt gun. And I'm looking at him, I say, and I'm yelling and screaming at the referee, stop the match. This guy, I broke his rib. He can't see. I broke on his eye. He can't see. He can't breathe. Stop the match. I'm yelling at him. And I know only the fetch. And the guy turned around. And Baroni, his hand was down because I knew I broke that rib. And he was like this. To the tap. Like there, I freaked out. Yeah. This time I heard it at my heart. I freaked out. Yeah, now I will have to. I wouldn't have to got the crazy bird. To me, I thought it was a street fight. I just went right out, jumped down and kicked them. Boom, boom. That grabbed them. I actually picked them up, threw them down. Boom, I stomped them back, And I'm yelling and screaming at her. Yeah, you know what? He can't breathe. He can't see. He can't see out of one eye. This one here is bleeding. His lip is bleeding. His nose I broke. His ribs I broke. Yeah. And he's trying, he can't even move. And so everybody, I just happened to stop for a moment to look at the audience, and they're doing this. It looked like they were doing this slow motion, and I wasn't imagining. I just looked around, and it looked like everybody was doing this to me. I didn't know what to do. So I unstraddled enough. I did a victory backflip like this, and they grabbed me and they said, go, go. And they started to throw things, because they wanted to finish the throwing things. They took me in there at this time. I put whatever I had in the bag, and I'm waiting because I'm hearing all I don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing all this ruckus, and I'm waiting for somebody comes in there. He's going down. He's going to the hospital. Whoever comes in there, and it seems like I was in there for an hour, looking at this door waiting for. Or there was only maybe 10 minutes. But it seemed like it was an hour waiting. I was intense. And it was like I held my breath for 10 minutes, waiting for somebody to come in. And my trap, everything. He opens the door and I go just like I was just going to strike. And he goes, come, come. And I start to go like, I grab my bag, pick it up. And it wasn't even, it was like what do you call those? You go and buy at the grocery stores. Because what?
Let's see, you see.
Miss yeah, they just grabbed it and I run. He told me in. He threw me in this limousine. We take off. They take me to to the airport. And I'm saying my luggage is in that. They went through it and they had my luggage. They packed it and put it in. Took right. I'm in the airport. I'm on the plane with a T-shirt with blood on it, and I'm sitting there. I have the money in my pocket, and I'm thinking, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, no shit.
So what happened? I don't know. It went that bad. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I said, this is insane. Yeah. So my my wife Sarah fixed me up at the airport, and she says, "Did you know you had a nose bleed? Why is the blood on you?" And I said, and but you know, but no. Oh, I got the most important thing in there. Ian asked me, "Would this is how it went?" They said they asked me when I got there, "Do you want to do an exhibition step? We'll give you this much money." He said, "What do you want?" And I said, "Let me think about it." I went, I saw this bird, all these birds, beings and all that. I asked it, what teach these guys a lesson? I went in there and I said, which one's more expensive here? He says, it's been beautiful. And I said, can you wipe a ticket out and I'll put that in the bag. I'll come back and pick it up. I didn't think they were going to do it with. So I told him, he says, so what do you want? They came that night. What do you want? And I said, I just right off the bat, okay, I want $70,000. I want this. I want if you know, I want 10% of this. He says, no, not 10%. And I said, I want some of the, you know, how many people, you know, and he says, no. But he didn't. And I gave him, I said, I want this bird jacket, this, that. That morning, the next day, I thought I said, oh, the next day they came, knocked the door, I opened it up, put the money, with the mini jacket. They said, we come pick you up. And that's when they picked me up and took me to Caruso. I had the fur jacket. I had the money. And this is why I thought it was an exhibition. Well, that's what happened.
Wow. Now you had another fight in Hong Kong at some point, didn't you? On the Nats, like, it was a. This was more of a more of a tournament type where you were fighting some Chinese guy. You're just beating the bejabbers out of this poor guy. I believe you were on yellow mats, if I'm not mistaken. Now, did these events happen when you were shooting with Jackie, or were you in Hong Kong independent for something else?
Uh, this was right before Jackie.
Right before Jackie. So your fight career, you're retired. Just let's jump ahead to your comeback fight in '94 with Tagan, right?
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that. Then we'll go back to your film career, which started with Four Spy.
All I know is they were saying,
First of all, before the fight happened, how long were you retired at that?
that
7 years, that's something like that.
move on the,
Yeah.
you know, and, so that I retired, I took other things, I was doing other things, but they said, how about a retirement fight? My brother said, I say, what? He said, how about a retirement fight? I said, brother, I'm not going to retire. And he said, no, but why don't we do a retirement fight? I said, get that through your head. I'm not retiring. He said, well, how about if we say we do a retirement fight?
Promoted that way.
And it's, yeah. And I said, I don't care. He said, no, I'm serious. I said, I don't care. Sure enough, we went out there, this and that. He says, all right, brother, we'll give you this amount of money and we give you a little percentage and such and such. And I said, all fine. Okay. So I said, how long do I have? He says, 6 weeks. I said, okay. Basically, I had my brother Blinky. My brother Blinky said, I like to promote it. And I said, really? He says, yeah, I want to promote it. I said, fine. And so he started this and this, and he says, came back and says, we'll give you other bread, we'll give you this, we'll give you heart size, and made it really nice and sweet. I said, sure. And then he said, okay, we're on. I said, how much? I said, at least give me 6 weeks, and I'll be the top pick in 6 weeks. And he said, before you leave, I said, so I said, okay. I said, because I'm not out of shape. It's just 6 weeks to fine tune you. Shout to me, that's it. So, I said, okay. So he took off. Next week he comes back from me and says, we're on, brother. I said, what do you mean we're on? He said, we're on. We're going to be fighting on 6 weeks. And and he says, who do you want to fight? And I said, who's the toughest out there? He said, no. Yeah, we'll get somebody and we'll take him out of the grave, stand him up, pick him, that's it. That's all you need. I said, who is the toughest parent out there right now? It's one that's, he's giving everybody a hard time in this world. And he says, why do you want to go fair? And I said, we draw or lose, people will remember this. And I don't care about the outcome. They will remember this. If you want to call this my retirement fight, nobody will forget about this. So I started training and started getting some mud. Then some of my other fighters started, because they would be Pete Cunningham, the others, they all were going to get out. I said, jump on board. I said, can I be on your car? Can I? So why not? So there was other my champions behind underneath me. We all started running 60 boarding, sparring over in the afternoon, meditated at night, crazy meat type things. 6 weeks. 2 weeks before the fight. And I sparring was Pete. And I said, Pete, and I already told him about this. Pete has thick toenails. The thickest toenails I've ever seen. And when he did it, he cut them in a point. Oh, and he likes to kick that. So we're sparring. I'm sparring some other, they brought other champs to come in so I can strike the career premium. So I can strike these guys with this and that. So I'm sparring with Petey, and he flip kicks me, cuts me. He cuts me with his toenail. And I went at this. And Petey said, I'm sorry, Sensei. And I say, did you just come at me? And I went like this. I say, you sure did. And then my brother Ruben at this was pissed off at PD. I said, no. I said, it was a flip kick. I'm not used to his flip kicking in this math. But when he flip kicks, he doesn't teach you with a top of foot. He spears you with his toes. And I said, is that how you got people up? He goes, he said, yes. I said, okay. So I went and they put Band-Aid on it, put it together. They said, one stitch it. I said, no.
So while you were in preparation for this, did you know you were fighting Takak?
No.
No, you didn't know. At what point did you find out it was Takam?
I didn't figure it until we were in the way here.
Ah.
I didn't care who else I did. Yeah, I didn't care who was fighting. All I knew is
So did Tagami know he was fighting you?
yes.
In Japan. So he was fighting you, but you didn't know who you were fighting.
No.
So you were just basically being you. You couldn't really put a strategic game plan to defeat an opponent that you didn't know who you want to fight. I mean, so.
No.
And
Basically, I was just going to go and fight.
so do you feel they were trying to set you up a little bit there? I mean, if you didn't know who your opponent was and he already knew, in theory, you would give him the edge, right?
That's it.
So were they doing that because you had defeated them in the past?
They were doing that because, again, first of all, I was twice his age. I was like, Well, he was 24, I was 43. And as far as I'm concerned, he just became the champion. He's fresh, he's new, he's exciting. As far as I'm concerned, I've been out of the commission doing movies and I'm stuck coordinating all this. I got away from that for a while because I was busy in the movie industry. And so when I told my brother, who's the best out there? And he said, why do you want to fight? I said, well, you want me to fight? Who's the best out there? And he told me, well, this guy in Japan, he's a young champion. I said, I don't care. I said, fine. Just put the best out, but don't give me, I want people to remember it. And I don't care about the outcome. I want to remember the art. I said, I don't care how it comes out. I just want people will talk about it.
And you wore your American Indian attire into the ring. Talk to us a little bit about that because that's very special.
For the beast for that is because I was up at Park Canada, the reservation, and we Big Bull and White Brave Ball, the chiefs of the Blackfoot tribe, which is in the pagan nation. And Ona she's the one that actually made my outfit. And they went and they were looking to do my headdress, and they couldn't find Smeagol. So they went out to the center and they gave offerings to the other side. They did offerings to see they would come and they were singing, shouting, worked off on the morsels, food, and a circle would give you offerings. And they says one of the warriors said, what is that up there? It was far away up in the hillside. So what is that? They said, they don't know. They said, so they said, let's go look. And as they started walking toward it, it did not move. And they started going toward it. They got closer to it, and then he was on the hillside. And he said, it's an eagle. They called him Blackfeet, I to think. And he said, I want you, this eagle, to be prayed for. And the eagle stood there, and they went up, and the eagle did not move. No. They killed it. They killed the eagle, took the feathers, they gave offerings to it, and so forth. They made my headdress and made another headdress for the chief. Wow. Of this eagle. They said they never seen an eagle with such big wings. Sacrifices like by headdress.
Oh, no, awesome. And that headdress was on display at Team Karate Centers, wasn't it? Over in Woodland Hills, because I remember going over there one time and they said to me that's what I wore in my last fight. Yeah, so now, how were you received after you defeated Tagami?
The idea of the we did a circle. If that one in that circle, we did awesome, we played with dance, warrior dance, so forth. And then they set the bonnet on them. And they did warrior dance with this map after they set the bonnet on. They took the bonnet off. They set it straight, this map, and they put it into this 150-year-old bag that they had made with the dirt and blood of back then in this. And they sold you make and put my bonnet in it. And they brought my outfit to they wanted me to at the hotel, and they wanted me to try it on. So I tried it on. They think perfect person. Couldn't get any more perfect than that. Then they waited. So after I started, I came, and then they took me down with my outfit on. And we went down. And as we went down with my outfit, they did not put my bonnet on. They took me in the dressing room. Nobody's ever seen my bonnet, but they seen me in my outfit. But I had towel over every snap. So we get in there, And so the doctors came to me, checked my hands out, said like that, said make sure I had a cup on. And so but everything set. So then when his heart went out, and he went out, and then I can hear the thunder because I was on the knee.
Yeah.
And everything was happening. I can hear the thunder, the whole thing was shaking. And then that's when it stopped. Everything stopped. And my brother said, "Hey brother, he got stopped. Stop, start warming up." So I just got up and I said, "I'm gonna be stretched anyway. This, I'm gonna warm it up. We'll be around just this." And he said, "Okay." Really big boom. By Mabel, and then they came in, they took my bonnet off, they saged it, they put it on the sage mill, really not. They were walking on the side with two stand word, the so called the word finally. And so I got my head down and we're walking toward it. We're walking. And my headdress, people was asked, people were, I was in this speaker box. So we get there. So I do my ritual, I do my prayer, I do more give up quarter. So I do up and then put my headdress back and I go on to put it off. I'm not too far. When someone went, it was loud. It made vibration was going through me. It was people, actors, everybody has shown up. As a matter of fact, people, people were actually not even, the scalpers up there will buy this. Is it less helpers to them? Wow. And there was some people where it was packed full house. And then they rented two other places to televise it at these other hotels. And so many people. And so I get there, and I'm walking along, and people are going, that's so many people got there, takes the headdress, also under pushed into my bag. I wore it out. I wore my edge of the bag. And they would offer four offers, the four covers. And then my dad, you were probably fired out loud. And then I was in a different song. Yeah. Everything turned out. It's like a cure. I can put it on this stuff. I saw him turn the list. People screaming with me, yelling, crying, and it just mad. It was, on that movie was. When I went at it, while it kept on free lead in my head, watch this, watch this. When you see below the hand right, and I sat down at the bottom. When I get up, I said, we're gonna fight that. I was gonna fight. I got up and he came after me. But then after he came out, I had a smile. I had that streaming you. Start to listen. The breakthrough side is I'll be still. Listen, but unlock. Sit down. Oh, my brother said, "You okay?" I said, "The other day on the blue, my brother." Thank you, pillows. Looking for me to say, saying word sales. What do we tell you? Yeah, we can't tell you anything. It says you already know. I said, just give me one. And then my corner man and my second started yelling and screaming at each other without speak down. And I said, "Could I have some water?" They're screaming at each other, who is going to be in the inside? Who's going to be in the outside? And I was looking at him, I said, "Can I just have some water?" Finally, they realized what they were doing. You were just on another planet. Like you were, yeah, I just said, "Can I have some water?" That's it. Gave me some water. The bell rang. He went up, and I can still hear his shoe going at it. Then the bell rang and went up to, and he came after me. He came after me like it was like tomorrow. For the first 3 rounds, he came after me. After that, I would hear his heartbeat. I said, I could hear it every breath, every part of his heart. I could feel his rhythm. In other words, I can feel his thoughts, his frequency of his thinking. I said, you listen to this guy is not going to give up. I'm going to have to kill him. He's not going to give up because he's not fighting for him. He's fighting for his country. That's what I got. He's fighting for his country. Blood for it. And then after that, I started going for fun. I started picking it up. I said, now who start picking it up? Started learning about it. And the worst part about it was, I don't walk seeing this on the camera, but it was what it was. And I went after him. And by that time, I quit. Every time I get him, I had a shot that all the way through my brain. And I hit him with the right cross. I stunned him. And I went to him. I went to hit him with the left hook. I will tell you, book. And so then to be hitting the right crosses. And every time I just jabbed it with a new fetch, I thought, this right to my brain. Thought this shock right over there. Put it down. So then I stopped kicking that. I started going down the. I said, it's a matter of time. It's going down. Just chop it down the cash. It's a matter of time. He will go down. But I just see him in the corner. See him trying to get up. I just said, snap through. He did not want to go down. This man had so much heart and fighting for him and his country. He did not really go. He did not want to get down. He wanted to be that.
Would you say he's your toughest opponent?
He had the toughest heart. He had the toughest heart. And he lasted longer than anybody. So Tupper, I fought Tupper, but I've never fought anybody with such heart. He was the one had the most heart and the desire not to go down and not to stop.
Well, just to go back a little bit with the Indian head priest and everything, because part of your ancestry is American Indian, correct? Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
You know, when I had forgotten my name, my Indian name. I'm the reservation. I forgot of what they did. And so I forget I couldn't remember my name. And so when I got together with Eagle, she,
So just so for the audience, Eagle wasn't his business. Sarah, his beautiful wife. My wife's name's Sarah too.
is yeah. And so she is the, she's bloodline of Joanna, her grandmother's mother's mother. And that's not the ship. But so I was acting for her. I thought she was strange. I thought she was a strange guy. I met her at 14. I thought she was a strange girl in here. I said, man, what voices come out of your head? Man, what you have voice in? She said, yeah. I said, well, you're a strange girl. And then I'm wearing but I got to realize when we got there, it took me 1 year. I must have been divorced 3 times. I'm out here, forget you, I'm going. Come back, I'm sorry. I am being used a flower. But I couldn't understand her because she was so deep. She was so deep, but I couldn't understand. Where you coming from, man? What you talking like that for? Wait, So that's why, in my mind, I divorced her, and I'm gone. But I realized I love her. So I think that I've had many groups, but I never loved her. I think when I met her, I didn't know what love was. I didn't know where.
So let's tell us the famous Ed Parker story when you first introduced your wife to Ed Parker. It's an interesting. I found that story.
She wasn't my wife.
Oh, your girlfriend. That's it.
You know, this was like it's 5 at the Nationals.
So you're at the Long Beach Internationals and at the cave. You're girl.
Keep watching me fighting this and that. So so she came to me. She said, she was just so excited, this and that. And I said, Mr. Parker, Mr. Parker. And he goes, yes, this is my girlfriend, Sarah. And Sarah looked at her. She didn't know who it was. It says, nice to meet you. And Mr. Parker looked at her. I looked at her. She stared at and smiled. We said, enjoy it. Turns me around, puts his arms around me, walks 5 feet away from me. And he says, this one's a keeper. And I looked at Mr. Parker. I said, I'm not sure what he's saying. So I left it at that because I didn't want to ask, what do you mean? Yeah. I just left it at that. And then an hour and a half, 2 hours go by. And it kept in my head, she's a keeper. And I thought he was giving me some deep philosophy of something. And so I went up to Mr. Parker and said, Mr. Parker, we got a moment I'd like to ask you something. He goes, you treat me, and I said, Mr. Parker, you said she's a keeper, my girlfriend. What do you mean by that? He looked at me and he says, keeper. And I said, keeper. Yeah, she is for you. Keep her. Don't let her go. Keep her. And I go, I got so embarrassed. I said, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't understand. Yeah, I thought we gave you a certain code of something. Yeah, some type of insight. I didn't know what that meant. The way you said it, yeah, it didn't dawn on me. Meant this one's, this one's her. Yeah, this was a good one. And how to, because he knows I had a lot of culprit.
How right he was on that one. 60 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now let's go back a little bit in time to your first movie, Force 5, correct? Talk to us a little bit about that. It's got a whole host of real martial arts.
I did a movie before that. It was called Down the Drain.
Okay.
And I played a drunken hobo. And it was about these bank robbers. And I'm at the park drinking and I'm all wasted. And these bank robbers just robbed the bank and the cops are chasing them and they come out, they come out and they get this and they put the bag underneath the bench while I was laying down. And he takes $100, he tears it in half, gives me, he says, I'll give you the other half. Take care of my bag. And they're running off. So here I am, I'm playing, I'm drunk. And next thing I know it, I got half, but I want the other half, and I don't know where they're at. So I don't know what's in there. So I take the luggage, and there's these police officers eating their lunch. So I go over there and I knock on the window, and they roll down their windows down. And I said, this guy gave me this, told me to hold on to it, and I don't know where he's at. And he goes, go, because he thought I was just a drunken hold on. Okay, yeah. And he rolls his window back up, and then he eat the grudge. So I had this nugget tree. I never opened it up. I just want the other half of that $100. So I go back to the bench, and I sit down, and they didn't come. So I grab the bed, and I'm walking. These guys skid around the corner, and they, I'm walking with this. They skid around the corner, and they told these other guys, grab that, grab the suitcase. That's when the money's in. So these guys already grabbed it, and I'm thinking, I want the other half of that. And I'm beating the crap out of those guys. And there's a fight scene going on, man. Because I'm thinking, you're not taking the suitcase because I want the other half. So that was the movie. I played a took it home on that. It's called Down the Drain. That's awesome. But that was the first time. And then I guess mother.
He did Force 5, who had got a whole host of martial arts in there. Sonny Barnes.
There was okay.
There's a whole team of you guys. It should do it all of us. That you're more than everybody.
There was
How was that?
to tell you the truth, uh, when it came to in front, I don't knew how to be in front of a camera. Just doing exhibitions, I knew how to capture the audience emotions. I knew what to do. So they had asked me, uh, what what kind of thing? Because they didn't know me. They said, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" I said, "Sure." They said, "Why don't you create something this and this and this?" So I started working with some of the guys and started showing them some things and this, and then, but they said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "What would you like to see happen?" He says, "Well, we're gonna do this, and you're going to be fighting these guys and so forth." And they say, "Okay, where?" So we to Rivera Street, and he says, "Well, we like to see the fight here." And I'm looking at these barriers. I'm looking at this, and I'm just looking at things, looking around. What can I use? And I'm just, and finally, I said, "Okay, I know what I want to do." He says, "What would you do?" And I said, "Well, they're going to chase me. I'm going to run up these steps. He's going to try to grab my ankles. I'm going to do a back to forward rail. And I'm like 6 feet in the air and hit the ground. This guy's going to grab me. I'm going to sidekick him. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab him. Go here. La 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 la. This is not. He's going to shoot the gun. I'm going to do this." And I choreographed it right there. And I was saying we're all starving right there. Yeah. The heck. And he said, "Okay, we're going to put the camera here." And they thought I already knew about the way I was talking to them. They thought I already knew about cast symbols and so forth. And, uh, I was just making up I know. And I said, "Where is the camera?" And he says, "Well, this is number A." And they start teaching me about cameras. And camera A is here. This is going to be natural speed. Okay, this is B24. And then then we're going to speed it up. We're going to go to 200 on this one. And then that one, I said, "So what is 200? What is that? You know, what?" He says, "Come here." To me, the monitor, he says, "This is that speed on that." And then we were moving the front, and I was seeing how slow. So I said, "Okay." And I said, "Can I see that?" So I started learning. I started learning camera angles, speeds, and stuff like that. And then the lighting, they started showing me. He says, "We're gonna make you. So we're gonna put the light down here. We're gonna make you real scary and this and that." I said, "How's that going to make me more scarier than I am?" It was with the lighting. It's going to make your eyes sink into the people that do. They were doing all, and they would teach me. They didn't even know it.
Okay, Sensei, next up after Force 5 was Wheels on Meals. So take us through that. How did it come about? Take us through your experience, your first time meeting Jackie, Samo, Yunbu. As we know, they're the three brothers who come from the Seven Little Fortunes from the Peking Opera. And we know Samo is the big brother, and everybody listens to Samo. So take us through the whole thing.
I think Samuel is more the director, Pepper, and you had Jackie Moore, a people, the actor that so far they would have it.
Yunbu was more the clicker.
Yeah, and he's the more gymnast.
Yes.
Yes, with the more acrobatic gymnast of all over.
So when you first met Jackie, and first of all, how did it come about? Are you in LA and someone calls you and goes, "Jackie Chan wants you to do a move"? How did it all in Japan? You were in Japan.
Japan, they've been following me. Everybody's been talking about me, and word got around you know, uh, like everybody had cell phone back then, but nobody had any. Yeah, he just knew everybody started talking chatter, and that's it. And it got to his ears, and they saw some of my fights, and he wanted to change the way people fight on film. So they said he wasn't sure what I could do because he didn't see, or if I didn't see the movies, but he knew I was a real deal. So somebody called. I'm not sure who it was. Tommy says, "Do you know Jackie Chan?" I said, "Who?" Jackie Chan. I said, no idea. And they said, well, you know what? He wants you to go to Hong Kong and uh, he wants to meet you, this and that. I said, for? He says, well, a matter of fact, he's doing a movie and he just wants to see, he wants to talk to you and see. And he says, not promising anything. I said, okay, so I'm going all the way to Hong Kong from Japan. Huh? And not knowing. And he said, that's up to you. And I said, you know, yeah, I'll go. So I get there, they pick me up nice, on the morning soup, nice, check. And then they take me to this big warehouse where he's at, so forth. And so I go over, and I'm looking around, seeing just huge warehouse of crash cans and all these boats. And I'm looking up, say, dude, this is a circus or what? They give up. I said, what are we doing in here? So then I see all these guys out there, hugging up. So up here. So I kind of leave, and the interpreter said, I think Jackie, that's his team. And I said, team of what? Yeah. And he said, oh, I think that's his, or the acting team of actors. Was it? I said, so what am I getting them? And he said, Jackie. I said, so where's Jackie? I started getting a bit loud, like, what the heck am I doing here? What's going on? Who's Jackie? Where's Jackie? And so all of a sudden, I see about he Jackie books. I mean, couples. And he has a big smile. And he comes up to me and he goes, and I said, how are you? Are you Jackie? And he goes, and so he's trying to tell me in English, yes, I'm Jackie. And so his interpreter says something to him, and Jackie told him, and then he told me, Jackie wants to know, have you done mono before? And I said, and I'm looking at Jackie. I don't know if you want to call it movies, but yeah, I've done some little interview deaths. And so the interpreter told him. And he looks at me, he smiles. He shakes his head. I said, so what am I doing here? Yeah. And that's what I'm telling Jackie. And Jackie turned her face, told him. And he said, Jackie wants to see what you can do. I say, I'm a fighter. Tell him. And he said, Jack already knows that. That's why you're here. I says, he wants to fight me? And he said, no, he wants you to be the boot. I says, so what are we doing? Do we have a script? He says, no script right now. I said, he wants to do a movie without a script? And he goes, pretty much. And I said, him. I said, so ask him, what does he want? Right now, at this, what do you want? And he says, he wants to see you kick the bag. I said, kick a bag? And he said, yeah. And then he had a power show, but it's a strange power show anyways. And so he calls one of his stuff. They're all standing there. And so one of his guys are just, 10 guys are holding the bag. And he says, kick it. And I said, tell Jackie how hard. He said, kick it hard.